You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hello, we're Enterprise Splending, the podcast where we explain Star Trek Enterprise to each other and to you. I'm Bill, and these are my co-hosts, Jamie.
Hi.
And Maria.
Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about the Star Trek Enterprise episode Acquisition. However, I'm the only person here who's actually watched it, so it's my job to explain to my co-hosts what happened on the episode. But before we get to that, let's talk a bit about last week's episode. Last time, Maria told us about the episode Rogue Planet. Jamie and I were finally able to watch it, so Jamie, now that we've seen it, what did you think?
Put it this way. A week passed between when Maria saw it and when I was going to watch the episode. And the day before, I was racking my brain. I was like, what was the episode about again? I spent a whole day thinking about it, could not remember anything about the episode. And it wasn't until I sat down to watch it and it started, I was like, there was like a rogue planet. It was just, which had nothing, the planet being a rogue planet, now that I think about it, had nothing to do with the episode.
Not a damn thing.
Could have been any planet. Could have just been a normal planet. Maria, you get the, you really get the duds.
It was so boring. There was minutes of actual story put into 45 minutes. It was really dull.
Yeah, you really specialize in those episodes.
Apparently, it's my sweet spot.
I realized afterwards that I think I had filled in a bunch of things to make it make more sense. That then when I saw the episode, I was like, wait a second. For example, I thought that those aliens, what they were called, like the Ekats,
the Hunter aliens,
the Eska. I thought that they had some reason that they were purposefully trying to hide the fact that they were actually hunting the race from everyone. But then it turned out that they're like the scene at the end when Archer does his thing where he's like, pretends like he doesn't have information that he has. But actually, it turned out they just out of nowhere were like, by the way, did you know we're actually here hunting these wraiths? And they actually seemed like they were proud of it and wanted to brag about it, which makes sense because they're like, it's like the greatest game or whatever, like the super hard game and they're hunters. But then I was like, well, why did they lie about it up to that point and gaslight Archer?
Yeah, they were just fucking with them.
Plot-based reasons.
As far as I can tell, they were like, let's just fuck with this guy and make him think he's crazy. That's the only explanation.
That's not a bad reason. If they had made that more explicit that they were just fucking with Archer, that would be an even better. If they were just like jerks.
Yeah.
I had filled in originally that, it was because they know that they're intelligent and that the humans would not agree with it. But in the actual episode, there was nothing about that. They seemed to be like, no, we know that they're not intelligent. We don't even think they're going to be annoyed about it. Like, it was not clear why they spent the whole episode hiding this from anyone.
Yep, made no sense at all. None.
Did Archer reveal? No, he didn't reveal. They accused him of giving the aliens like the super secret formula that hid them from their scans, and Archer said, can't prove it. I won't say I will, and I won't say I didn't.
Yeah, I felt like he made it really clear that it was him without admitting it, which, again, why would you do that, Archer? Like, why?
That's his move.
Why antagonize these guys for no reason? Like, just walk the fuck away, man.
Also, who came up with this? Like, how quick? It seemed like an hour. Someone just made, someone on the Fox just like made this new thing. I don't know. It was just very sudden when he's like, we got to do something about it. And then it's like, okay, we got this thing. It's good.
Maybe it was like, that's a part of it. Like the pacing was really weird because like I said, there wasn't that much story, but that particular thing happened really fast. Like they could have dragged that out a little and made it a little more interesting.
So when I watch these episodes, when I watch the recap episodes, the episodes that I'm not hosting, I watch them at 1.25 speed, and let me tell you, it really zips this show along. And I think that might be the key element that you're missing. It's like what I used to do.
Cheaters.
Cheater.
When I used to watch the Arrowverse shows, I would have my hand on the fast forward button. And every time they would start to have a conversation, like, I can't believe he lied to me again. We can't keep secrets. It's like zip, 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 zip. Got him down to a lean 29 minutes.
Okay, Bill, that's
people
cheating,
running around doing superhero stuff.
Maria, you cheat by skipping the theme song.
Oh, come on.
You are not getting the
Absolutely.
Maria, you host an Enterprise podcast, and you are not even getting the full Enterprise experience. You know, when people were watching this when it was on TV, they could not skip.
I will just say the skipping it is my choice, but it's also, I don't have a choice because Steven will not, he will not let us listen to that theme song. And I support his decision.
I listen to the theme song every time. Well, okay. When
Good
I'm watching the
Lord,
episodes for
why?
the first time, because I host an Enterprise podcast and I'm not a cheater.
Jamie, do you watch the credits all the way through?
Yeah.
The end credits,
Oh
all the
my
way through the
dear
end,
God.
every
Of
single
every show?
time. Of every
Every show.
episode.
Of every show that I watch.
That's
Not just Enterprise.
insane.
But I
No,
have
Jamie,
to say,
that's-
when I rewatch, because when I'm doing an episode, I watch it multiple times.
Sure.
On my rewatches, I skip the theme song. But when I watch the show, I watch the full theme song for every show that I watch.
That is wild. My thoughts on Rogue Planet. Maria, you totally nailed it when you said that Archer's actions are how a red shirt gets killed in any episode of original series. He is 100% wandering off by himself to a siren song. How am I supposed to feel about Archer for doing this?
Well, I'm just confused because there was the part of the episode when he said that he felt compelled
Right.
to follow her.
Right.
And I figured that's why he's like going off on his own.
Yes.
But when I watched the show for the first time, in my head, I was thinking that there was still some like psychic compelling happening. I also was thinking that what Archer was seeing was a hallucination they were giving him. But then when I thought about it the next day, I was like, no, the slug creature was physically turning itself into the woman.
Yeah.
Which means they could read his thoughts psychically, but they didn't seem to have any power to affect his thoughts. So then
Well,
why
I mean,
was he going after it? In the dark
I
by
assumed
himself?
that they did. I assumed that they did affect his thoughts in some way.
That's one of my notes here is
But-
that I don't get, obviously the science of this is complete nonsense, but I don't get the science of them literally turning into the thing that they're imitating to the point where a scanner, like if they turn into a rock, they become a rock. How do they turn
It's
back?
Star Trek magic. It's sci-fi
understand.
magic.
That I get.
Yeah,
but
that doesn't bother me.
There are a lot of evolution questions in this episode that we should not get into.
Learned about
Why
this.
all the plants have giant leaves?
Why
Right.
the plants are green and have leaves.
It's space
You know?
Like
chlorophyll.
leaves that would usually be getting
Yeah,
its energy
yeah.
from the sun.
Mm-hmm.
But if they have the psychic ability to actually affect people's actions, why can't they do that on the hunters?
Well, presumably the hunters know about this, and that's why they consider the game so deadly, maybe, if I'm doing half-ass work, and that's why the hunters know they have to hunt as a team.
Yeah, I did feel like the hunters said they'll get into your head.
Right. Well, I have one
Go
final
ahead,
one
Bill.
final note about the night vision monocle that Starfleet has. If you have one bright glowing green thing over one eye, I don't think that's going to enhance your night vision. I think it's going to really fuck you up unless you're walking around with an eye patch over the other eye.
Yeah, well, maybe they're winking one eye, like they wink when they.
And that's why the alien thought Archer was attracted to her, as he kept winking at her.
Yeah, which, by the way, Archer would not have been so insistent that they have to save these aliens if she didn't look like a hot lady.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely not.
Well,
And T'Pol even mentioned it at one point, and he did not deny
absolutely
it.
says that.
Yeah.
Yeah, T'Pol absolutely says that. And to be fair, the woman, the slug woman, says, "You wouldn't have helped me if you didn't recognize me.
Right.
If I didn't turn myself into something that you trusted."
Yeah, which doesn't doesn't imply good things about Archer, frankly.
Yeah. I mean, does any of this imply good
Well,
things about Archer?
It's a siren song. It's a, it could have been anything. I mean, is there a better option? Yeah. I don't know.
Did you guys think he was going to kiss the slug in the last scene?
I actually was 100% sure they had kissed. After I first watched it, when I was rewriting it and I watch it again and write it up, and I was like, and then they kiss, and then I watched the actual thing and they were like, they didn't kiss. I was sure they had kissed.
He looked like he was about to kiss her, and I was like,
slug.
wait, I don't think Maria had said that he kissed the slug. And so I was like, I would have remembered if he kissed the slug lady. But then it looked like they were about to kiss, and I couldn't believe that he didn't kiss the slug. I wanted him to kiss the slug lady and then her turn into a slug.
I so wish I could.
So good.
I so wish I could draw. I would create one of those 90s, those enormous Johnson joke shirts of a bar that's, you gotta kiss the slug, and it's a sexy lady holding the giant slug at a bar. It's for a fake bar. Rogue Planet Bar and Grill.
Oh, God.
I have a couple more these are small notes. The first one is they wore their windbreakers again. It's excited to see the windbreakers come back.
The windbreakers.
And then when Travis went to sickbay to see how the alien guy that Phlox was helping was doing, the alien was laying. Travis went to sickbay. It was Travis.
Travis was in that episode?
Yes. Travis went to sickbay to ask Phlox how the alien was doing. And the alien guy was laying on a table unconscious and had a blanket over him, and it looked like he was nude below the blanket. And Travis walks into sickbay, lifts up the blanket, and looks under it.
Do not remember that.
I don't remember that scene at all.
Jamie, okay, I want to rewind. 5 minutes ago, Jamie was saying she had been creating things in her head because nothing had happened in this episode.
No, I am telling you that this happened. You guys need to. When we're done, I'm gonna send you guys the time signature of the scene because it's so funny. He walks in and he lifts up the blanket.
So weird. That is so weird, man.
I think that he was checking his wounds or something to see how they healed, but it looks like he's naked under there, and it is really funny.
God, that's so fucking funny.
I swear that this happened.
Relook at that particular spot.
And my last note was that those vents looked nothing like Yellowstone. I have been to Yellowstone. Yeah, I was expecting pools of water that are bubbling and colorful.
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't know what Yellowstone is going to look like in 200 years, so.
Yeah, after the super
Wouldn't it be great if they
walked the super volcano?
They walked into a really urban, industrialized city. It's like, wow, this really reminds me of Yellowstone, the way they've developed this. Now that that's out of the way, it's time to talk about this week's episode. Computer, what episode will we be talking about this week?
Acquisition. When the Ferengi, a group of intergalactic thieves, stun the Enterprise crew and try to rob the ship, it's up to Trip to work covertly to stop them.
So, this episode is called Acquisition, and like it or not, we know that the Ferengi are probably in it.
That makes no sense.
Believe me, you are not the only one who has raised this issue. It comes up.
Sorry, on TNG, when they meet the Ferengis, they say that it's the first time that humans are meeting Ferengis.
Guess what? Something in Star Trek Enterprise doesn't make sense.
All right.
And now it's time to play Two Truths and a Lie.
Yay.
Two of these statements about this episode are true. One is a lie. It's going to be Jamie and Maria's job to figure out, what fib am I telling?
I'm terrified. Actually, just knowing Ferengi are in this episode, I'm scared about these two truths and a lie.
Statement number one. Trip spends half the episode in his underpants.
Oh, God. No.
Statement number two.
Better than Malcolm.
Oh, yeah.
Statement number two. Archer offers to sell Hoshi for 10 bars of latinum.
He offers, is what you're saying.
Not offers her services as a translator, just offers a Hoshi.
I will reread my statement. Archer offers Archer offers to sell Hoshi for 10 bars of latinum.
All right.
Whew.
Statement number 3. We find out that the Enterprise has an emergency stash of gold for dealing with less developed civilizations.
Of gold? Or not latinum?
Gold.
Okay, I feel like that would not be something that you would come up with. I think that if you came up with it, you would have said latinum.
I think the Hoshi one's a lie.
Okay.
I agree. Mainly because I really do want Travis to run around in his underwear this whole episode.
Okay.
Trip.
No, Trip Tucker.
Trip. Who
Trip
did I
Tucker.
say?
You said Travis.
Okay. Whichever would actually
Travis
be fine.
Mayweather
Travis
is...
would actually be nice because it'd be nice to get an
Either of
episode
them.
that he's in.
Either of them would be fine. Travis would be preferable, to be honest.
Okay.
Because I feel like we have not seen Travis nearly enough.
Yeah, I would like just to see Travis in an episode, even if he's in his underwear. I guess Trip is good too. I'm happy with that.
All right.
What's the funniest thing in Star Trek?
When never mind. Take 2. Cut.
What's the funniest thing in Star Trek?
When Wayoon said,
We can leave that in when Wayoon said.
no,
Did he ever
I
say
don't remember
that?
that episode.
Pete, you get second.
What's the funniest thing in Star Trek?
Blindfolded
When
martial arts with boys. Oops. Okay,
Find out on Earth Station Trek, a podcast about Star Trek.
Terrible.
Cold open. The Enterprise is drifting in space, and a mysterious spacecraft is closing in on them. Who could it be? Cut to the ship, and we see a big old butthead-looking buttheaded alien. Guess what? It's the Ferengi, and they are speaking in their native language, which is not translated, and they will not be translated for a very long time.
Clothed?
The Ferengi? Yes, they are. Okay.
Weren't they not in Next Gen?
No, they were clothed.
Weren't they,
it's the women who are naked. It's the women who are the female Ferengi who are not aware to wear clothes.
What are they wearing?
They look like space hobos. They don't have a uniform on. They're all wearing those like different tabards, and it's all layered and stuff. But they're all wearing different things.
Okay, because
So they're-
Ferengi do have interesting fashion. So
Oh yeah, Quark's vests, man.
These are a bit shabbier. These guys look like mercenaries, or they look like space crooks.
more like the TNG Ferengi outfits.
Yeah.
We're one sentence in, guys.
Interesting note, the Ferengi, there are 4 Ferengi on this ship. 3 of them are played by faces familiar to Trek audiences because we have actors who collectively have appeared in every live version of Trek thus far. So we have Jeffrey Combs as the dim-witted Krem, who has, of course, appeared as the...
Jeffrey Combs is back.
Yep, he is.
Jeffrey he is everywhere,
another
man.
This guy lives in Star Trek, man. He is all over the place.
Yeah, he's great.
Guess who's playing the captain, Ulyss? It's Ethan Phillips, Neelix from Voyager.
No!
Yeah.
How fun!
I don't
And-
know who that is, but I'm sure it's exciting for people who have seen
Yeah.
Voyager.
And
Neelix is the most annoying character.
I was
in
going to say,
Voyager.
the only thing I know is that Neelix is the character people don't like. I don't know what the character is.
my personal favorite, Clint Howard, plays Muke.
Ah,
Clint Howard
fun.
he was in the original series as a child. And there's also a 4th Ferengi named Grush. He is played by Matt Malloy, but he has not appeared on another Star Trek live-action show. So the Ferengi are acting all smug and talking in Ferengi for a solid 5 minutes. They move up.
Great.
They move up to the Enterprise and start to dock. Dun dun dun. Guess what?
When they just show up, they don't speak English and they dock?
Yep, that's the cold open to the show. And guess what? We have faith. It's time for Jamie's Diane Warren update of the week. Take it away.
Okay, so you guys, it's been 2 weeks since we last recorded, and Diane Warren has been doing so much that I spent a lot of time today writing down 3 separate things of different things she's been up to, and then realized that this was so much that it would literally be like 45 minutes of me talking about Diane Warren. So I decided to just do one of them, but so she's very, very busy right now. But the one that
And that's why she's not replying to your texts.
The one that I really wanted to talk about was that the 28th season of The View just started, and they have a new theme song, and it is written by Diane Warren.
Please tell me it's Faith of the Heart.
Wow.
No, it's called The Version is the name of the song, and it's being sung by Leona Lewis. I see blank faces from you guys. I didn't know who she was either. She was apparently discovered on X Factor. She's British.
Oh,
She also apparently performed in Cats on Broadway, so she's a Broadway girly. The previous theme song that this theme song replaces is a song that was called For My Girls, which was sung by Brandy and Nicole Scherzinger. But that song was also written by Diane Warren, so her new song is replacing a previous song that she wrote.
that's awesome.
Wow.
And that song replaced a song called World's Gone Crazy, which was sung by Mary J. Blige and was also written by Diane Warren.
Diane Warren is so prolific. Like, I had no idea that this woman that I'd literally never heard of until Jamie told me about it, she has done so much. It's amazing.
Does Brandon Braga produce The View?
I listened to all three of those. It was surprisingly hard to find like a video
Those
online
songs.
with the opening for The View because I could find articles being like, oh, this song is going to start in this season, but all the links which went to like ABC videos they're gone. Everything is gone. Every video's been taken down.
Right.
The Mary J. Blige one, I was able to find a YouTube video where somebody like recorded their TV from their phone.
Those are always fun.
How weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. And then on Hulu, they only have the most recent handful of episodes, so
Sure.
I could only watch the new one. But I did watch all three openings for The View, and I can tell you that the Mary J. Blige one worked very well. It looked great with the opening. The Brandy and Nicole Scherzinger one was not good. And it's not that the song wasn't good. It's just that the song was very busy. It had a lot of like Brandy doing her like R&B singing. And when they're trying to announce like the different people on the show, it was like too busy to be a good like background song.
Right.
But this new one is very good. I actually think it was the best of the three. When they finish introducing everyone, the logo for The View comes up, and in the song, there's a lyric that says the words "The View" right as the logo comes up. Perfect,
Done.
perfectly done.
Right.
It looked really good. So hopefully, people who watch The View will now get to hear this new Diane Warren song.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Also, Bill, in answer to your question, did Brandon Braga produce The View? No, there's too many women.
Hey.
It would only be 30% women if he had done it.
Oh boy, you guys. Jamie, thank you for that update. We are back. 2 of the Ferengi board the Enterprise. They are wearing gas masks and have weapons drawn as they
That's
come.
smart, actually.
Yeah.
To wear a gas mask when visiting like a
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah,
Oh,
you
definitely.
think? You don't instantly
An
just
alien.
pop it open. Yeah, sure. The first thing they see when they open the airlock door is 2 anonymous crew members who are passed out in the hallway. There's a weird close-up of one of the Ferengi going up to them and inspecting / measuring the size of the human's ears.
Oh my God, what?
Okay, that's strange.
The Ferengi.
What is happening?
I should maybe clarify. He just holds his fingers up to the human's ears as if he's measuring them. He doesn't take out like a ruler and measure them. Yeah, it's not like they're doing a trap and tag thing with the humans where they're going to release them back out into the wild.
That would be so good.
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
That would be such a good episode if they just, the whole episode, the entire crew is passed out and they're just going around, these aliens just going around tagging them all.
Hang on,
At
folks.
this point, I assume actually maybe they like flooded the Enterprise with some
Yeah,
sort
that's
of
what
gas.
it seems like.
Good guess.
Something
So
with a zine, thorazine gas or something.
we have several scenes of these two Ferengi moving throughout various parts of the ship. Everybody is passed out on
Everyone
the
on
floor.
the whole ship?
they did.
Everyone they run across is passed out. They move into engineering, where of course everyone, including T'Pol, is lying on the ground, and there's this big weird thing sitting right next to the warp engine. It kind of looks like an outdoor grill, you know, those big pod grills that they have now, but it looks like it's made out of brass, and there's a big center section that is popped out with all these little vials in it, and it is emitting some kind of gas.
Oh.
The Ferengi push down the popped out part of it, and then one of them spots T'Pol, who has passed out next to it.
Okay, I'm sorry. So the ship, they can just put in a gas, like teleport in like a weird gas thing, and it will just like the whole ship, like there's not some sort of security on this ship where they're like, there's a gas leak or something, and they can shut down parts of the ship so they're not sharing air between them?
Oh no, it's hard to tell. Hard to tell how they did it.
You know as much as I do at this point.
On a spaceship, where you assume that like when parts of the ship get attacked, they can like airlock that part of the ship.
Yes, but I also feel like this is like looking at it from the perspective of next generation. Like, you can't transport something, like the transporter will nullify any dangerous things. That probably doesn't exist because this is
I see how this is like a technology that they probably haven't thought like somebody could do this, but just on a ship in general, there could be a problem. There could be a problem in like
of being able to
there could be a
to
problem
be able to
in one
knock
part of the
them
ship.
all out that fast. Oh, but maybe there's multiple.
And you wouldn't
we
want,
don't know yet.
you would want to be able to like shut down parts of the ship so that they're not sharing air with the other parts.
Let's keep going, because maybe there were multiple things that they beamed on board.
So Krem, who's the Jeffrey Combs Ferengi, has spotted T'Pol. Yes. He moves up next to her, and he puts his hands up in the classic getting ready to grope position, but then quickly moves to stroke her pointy ears. Muke, played by Clint Howard, yells at him that they need to move on. That's implied that they need to move on. He just yells something in Ferengi.
Right.
So they get into a turbo lift. They consult a little device that they have with themselves, and they take off their gas masks. Okay, we are on the bridge. Everyone is passed out there, including Archer, Travis, and Malcolm. The Ferengi call back to their ship. So this, like I said, this whole thing has thus far been in the Ferengi language. But now we cut to Trip, who is waking up in his underwear.
Yes! Why couldn't this be Archer? I'd be so much happier if it was Archer in his underpants the whole time.
But it's nice that they're doing it with a man instead of like Hoshi or T'Pol.
Let's see how this
because
goes.
God forbid we should have T'Pol in something form-fitting for the entire episode. Trip is in a decontamination room, and it's the sauna-type room that we saw from Sleeping Dogs, not the goopy shower scene. Trip wakes up. He says, "Doc, isn't my time up yet? I'm only supposed to be in here for 20 minutes, and it's been an hour." So Trip there's no answer. We cut outside, and we see that Phlox is passed out on the floor of Medbay as well.
Is it Die Hard? Is it Die Hard?
Oh my god!
Oh my god! We're getting
Star Trek Die Hard?
Is it Trip McCain?
Oh my god! I hope so.
So Trip cannot get the doors to decon open, and he has to hotwire the door lock to open. And I had two thoughts of here. One is, it's weird that you would have somebody trapped in a room that they couldn't get out of, but then I was like, no, this is decontamination.
Yeah.
And if somebody is freaking out, you wouldn't want them to be able to. So it's like, okay, I was like, I just want to point out that it was like, okay, that actually made sense. Star Trek Enterprise.
That actually 100% makes sense.
I just want to say,
want that to be lockable.
I love that decon is actually a part of the story, like a part of the story plot. But also, didn't we get a Die Hard on In Space Star Trek with Patrick Stewart on TNG?
Well, Wesley kind of had
that one in
Wasn't
Discovery
Picard...
just recently. The most recent season of Discovery had Die Hard in space.
Yeah,
they said it was intentional.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
that they did
I think TNG did it too, and it was also intentional.
Picard had one where
correctly.
they were getting rid of the trilithium. He was like trapped on the Enterprise alone with the thieves. And then he also had kind of one with Wesley where it was the video game one, and as Wesley had to run around avoiding everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking of the one where he was trapped alone with the thieves.
But it's an evergreen story. Trip tries waking up Phlox, doesn't work. So Trip is wandering the hallways barefoot and in his underpants. He finds everybody knocked out in the hallways. Trip equals confused. So the Ferengi are back in the airlock, and they bring on rolly carts filled with brown sacks. Trip, who has gone back to sick bay, narrowly avoids being spotted by them as the Ferengi come back and start looting medbay. And when I say looting medbay, I mean looting. They are literally just throwing test tubes and whatever they can find into their bags. We hear breaking glass. These guys do not give a fuck. They are just taking everything they can get their paws on.
And when you say brown sacks, you mean like gunny sacks, like
they look like big brown. I don't mean like potato sacks. I mean like they're brown. Like these are like leather bags that they are literally just throwing things into.
I had potato bags in
me too,
potato sacks in my head.
It's not that far off.
The bag over his
They
shoulder.
don't look great. It's not like these are tactical. They are literally
It's
just
not a
throwing.
great look.
Literally just picking up test tubes, uncovered test tubes, and throwing them in their sacks.
I can understand you want to go because I assume that there's probably lots of valuable stuff in medbay of like the medications and like fancy equipment, but just like throwing test tubes and them breaking.
Take it all. Ask questions later.
Okay.
There is a joke
Amazing.
where Krem opens one of the little terrarium containers that Phlox keeps his critters in, and we hear a sound, and you're like, "Ah!"
Oh,
Like,
nice.
things there. So Trip sneaks off, still in his underwear. The Ferengi are taking everything that is not nailed down, including a torpedo, which they have on one of their rolly carts.
Had been playing with it.
I
He
have
just
to
had
say,
it in his quarters. He was polishing it.
So
if we had to choose one person, actually, I guess I know the answer. I was going to say, if we had to choose one person on the Enterprise to be the person that is, or if we had to like rank the people on the Enterprise who are going to be the one person who's awake that's going to save everyone, Trip would be pretty low on my list. I mean, I think T'Pol's obviously at the top.
T'Pol would be the first,
And
yeah.
then Hoshi.
well, let's just round it. Who do you want to be
I
saved?
don't know about Hoshi.
Who do you want to be
put
saved by
Hoshi
in their
second.
underwear? Let's
then-
rank them.
And then
Okay,
I would
but the
put,
underwear thing changed
then
things.
Archer, I think. And then
Yeah.
And then Trip, and then Travis. Travis doesn't seem like he knows much. And then, and then Phlox would be in there. I would put Phlox above Trip. I would put Phlox.
I would too. I
my-
would probably
This
do
is-
the two aliens first.
Yeah,
I would
th-
probably do T'Pol and
This is-
Phlox.
So the
and
problem
then
is
Archer.
Phlox is the smartest, I think. But the problem with Phlox is I wouldn't trust him to like have everyone's on the Enterprise's best interest in mind.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
I'd be a little worried
This
about where
is
his loyalties lie.
why
And then
Die
Malcolm
Hard-
would be at the bottom.
This is why Die Hard is an evergreen premise, because you get to explore like the skills that the person would use, like
Yeah, it's
that
fun.
they do that.
Yeah, because Malcolm would just panic and like curl up, and he'd probably just turn
He'd blow
himself
the-
in.
He'd blow the ship up. He'd enable self-destruct immediately. Send out 15 emails to his sex lovers.
Back
Sorry. Okay, back to the actual story. Although my story would be a better story.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
So, you know how on the bridge they have that little brass plaque of dedication that says the name of the ship and everything? The captain of the Ferengi ship is prying that off with a screwdriver and puts
love
it in
it.
his sack.
I love it.
They're like thieves that break into laundromats just to steal like the copper bits.
It's at this point it's literally a smash and grab. They're just taking everything that's
The
not nailed
catalytic
down.
converter of the
Yeah.
Enterprise.
Meanwhile, in engineering, Muke is fucking around with the warp drive and gets blown away by an electric blast.
Oh, were they trying to just put the warp drive into a big sack?
Yep. here we go. Krem strokes T'Pol's nose, then he puts his arms under her shoulders and hauls her off too.
Ew.
Back on.
Sorry, but who in 2001 was like, you know what we need to bring back? The TNG version of Ferengi. That's what everyone wants.
I have so many thoughts about this. Yeah, it's it's going to get worse before it gets better. Well, it's not going to get better, but it's going to get worse.
Better, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse before
It gets better
it
in that
ends.
the episode ends, and apparently the Ferengi do not show up in this show ever again. Back on the bridge, Jeffrey Combs / Ulyss is stealing the chairs from the helm. The Ferengi are stealing the plates from the mess and then tossing clothes out from someone's closet. The scene actually cracked me up a little bit because it's Muke, who is Clint Howard's character, and he's just throwing clothes out from somebody's closet, and then he finds a pair of boots that apparently he really likes. He compares them to his own size, and he takes his own shoes off to put these boots on, and he is wearing these socks. These are colorful, stripy socks that you would wear on crazy sock day at work.
Oh, that's so good.
I'm telling you, that Ferengi fashion.
It is.
That Ferengi fashion. Also, Clint Howard was made to be a Ferengi. Like,
Yeah, he's got that.
he's
And he
so
is.
perfect as a Ferengi.
He's making a meal out of this, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Okay, we are back in the Enterprise hold, which connects to the airbay. We see that they've loaded up all the stuff that they're stealing, just big piles of stuff, torpedoes, tables, and a big pile of female crew members. About a dozen of them.
No.
Ew.
Yep.
Is that all? That might be all of them. Because what did we say? It's a third?
30%.
It's a third of
Nearly
80-something,
no,
right?
nearly 30%.
It's almost a third.
Okay, so it's 28% of what we know the crew is like 87. What's that math work out to? It might be all of them.
Let's be honest, it's 25.1% rounded up to 30%.
That's fair.
Yep, just a big old pile of female crew members. Trip is in engineering and still in his underwear. He turns on a...
I love the Ferengi have all this time to go and do all this stuff, but he can't put on a pair of pants.
It's actually
this time.
the really funny part is because he's not wearing shoes. He's doing this sort of dainty walk. He's not doing tiptoes, but he's obviously being very the actor is being very
he's
careful,
doing the
walked around. No, he's not doing a sneaky walk, but he's clearly not wearing shoes, so he has to be careful how he walks around on this set.
I just love that he's doing so much sneaking that he just has no time to put a pair of pants on.
There's no time for pants.
Not that I am complaining.
So Trip turns on a security camera and sees that the Ferengi on the bridge, 3 of them, they are lifting Archer out of his chair and take him to a turbo lift and into their hold. The Ferengi cuff Archer to a wall and give him a hypospray shot to wake him up. Archer equals confused. The Ferengi take out their universal translator and eventually they are speaking English. They establish that Archer is the captain of the ship.
Wait, sorry,
And-
the Ferengi brought out their own translator?
Yes. So
Translating
they were
device? Okay.
they were speaking Ferengi, and then they said blah 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 blah. Do you understand? Do you understand? And now they're
I
speaking.
really
English.
like that the show did that because usually I feel like we would just on another series we would just see them speaking English, but it does make sense that if they are sneaking around by themselves with no humans around, they're not going to even have a translator device on.
Yeah. Yep.
They establish that the crew will not be harmed as long as Archer cooperates, but there's one thing that Ulyss wants to know. Where is the location of your vault? Archer equals
the vault?
still confused. Every time he tries to, I don't understand what you're saying, every time he tries to stand him up, they butt him with a rifle, really hard.
Beat up again, man.
Look, I understand why a Ferengi ship might have a vault, but presumably these are Ferengi pirates. They've gone on other ships for other aliens. I feel like most ships do not have a vault.
No, they're apparently assuming everybody has a vault.
Archer explains that they're explorers, not a cargo vessel, and Krem says, "You carry no precious gems, no latinum?" And Archer says, "I just told you." And they call him a liar, and they butt rifle him in the head again. Archer's getting a little...
getting beat up again.
Archer loves to get beat up, man.
He gets beat up more than Worf in TNG.
It's absolutely true. He does. He really does.
Archer tells them to take what they want and get off his ship. Krem thinks that they should do just that, but Muke thinks that he's hiding something. Oh, so I should probably give you the vibe of these crew members. So Krem, he's like the newbie. He's like the subservient guy. He's like, no, he's right. It's too dangerous. We should get off the ship. And
that's
Muke,
Jeffrey Combs, right?
That's Jeffrey Combs. Clint Howard is just kind of oily. He's playing the Clint Howard character, and he's like, Ulyss / Neelix, he's in command, and the other guy, he's the thug. He's the background. He's Ferengi number 4 in the episode.
Okay, and Neelix is the
He's the captain. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Okay, wait, which one is Clint Howard? What's the name?
Clint Howard is Muke. He's just the second banana slime ball.
Okay.
In the middle of all this beating, Trip looks up and makes eye contact with Trip, who's on like a walkway up above. And just to update you, Trip is still in his underwear.
And makes eye contact with Trip. I
Archer.
Archer looks up. That's how interchangeable these white men are.
Archer looks up and makes eye contact with Trip, so he knows that Trip is out and about. Ulyss agrees that they should leave because, after all, they've got the females who are worth their weight in latinum. And one of the other Ferengi says,
I hate this.
Yeah, no, it's bad. Krem, one of the others, said, if we leave now, we could make the next slave market on Stamaris.
No.
Archer does not like the sound of slave market, and Ulyss picks up on this. And he says, he gets a little sly look on his face, he goes, you're right, Krem. Pick out the females that will bring the best prices. I already have. And he's, Ulyss says, pleasure doing business with you, and they make to leave. And Archer says, wait, I'll tell you where the vault is if you let me keep half the gold. Gold press latinum, gold bars, hundreds of them. They start negotiating percentages. Archer attempts to drive a hard bargain. He's doing that fake thing. I'll give you 50, I'll give you 30%. He's doing these things. Archer drives a hard bargain, and the Ferengi refuse his deal, but they don't decide to leave. They decide that they can find this vault for themselves.
Yeah, I'm like, that doesn't make any... That's what I was going to say. Like, if they're like, we've got everyone on the ship, like, under our thumb, basically. If the gold is on the ship, they could just find it themselves, presumably.
Well, presumably they wanted Archer. You think booby traps. You think they have to find the vault. Things like that.
Who's going to booby trap the vault on a spaceship?
A Ferengi would do that.
That is what a Ferengi would. They're thinking like Ferengi.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, fair enough.
Ulyss tells Krem to start loading the cargo while the rest of them go look. And Krem bitches about having to do the manual labor. He's the low man on the org chart in this Ferengi ship. And Ulyss looks at Archer and says, make him do it. Which he does. We smash cut to Archer carrying some heavy boxes while Krem does the classic, don't put those heavy things there. Put them over here where there's more room.
Can I ask a real quick question?
Please.
Is this being played for laughs? Like, is this a shenanigans episode?
Who fucking knows? How do you feel about the Ferengi? I don't like the Ferengi, and I know that the Ferengi are supposed to be like comic relief characters later. I find them intolerable.
Because I just think that Star Trek does do things like play with sex slavery and human trafficking and like sex discrimination and sexual harassment as comedy. Like, this is a thing that has been on every Star Trek show. No. So I'm just trying to get the feel, like, is this supposed to be comedy?
I didn't find it funny. I don't think. What was the episode
that you did not find it funny, but does it seem like the writers think it's funny?
Okay, that's a good point. The episode, the Trip Gets Pregnant episode, I felt like was trying to be comedy. I don't think this episode is trying to be, except that the Ferengi are so ridiculously greedy.
Right. There are elements of the Ferengi that are just fundamentally funny. They use who the Ferengi are as a joke in terms of like how crazy they are about money or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, measuring the ear size is pretty funny. Like, that's funny.
Exactly.
The big pile of women was distressing to me. That's
The
like
big
that's-
pile
I mean,
of women was distressing. Be the title of our episode.
I
Hoshi- okay,
understand
here's how that
to
works.
you that's distressing. I just I don't know what the writers of this are thinking.
I just don't know that
I've
Rick Berman
given
thinks
up.
it's
Like,
distressing.
It's you can tell how this negotiation went because T'Pol and Hoshi are both off by themselves. The rest of the women like have their legs overlapping. It's like they're trying to play like a game of Twister gone
God.
horribly wrong.
Oh, that's shitty.
Oh, I hate this.
No, it's not great. Archer starts working his magic on Krem. You need a bigger ship. And Krem says, "Oh, it's not my ship, it's my cousin." And Archer's like, "Oh, I was getting the impression that you were in charge." No, it's only Krem's first month on the job, but he's learning a lot. Archer asks what they need all this stuff for anyway, and Krem explains that you can never have too much. The rules of acquisition say expand or die. He explains some of the other rules to Archer, including the most important one: a man is only worth the sum of his possessions. Archer remarks, "That kind of thinking almost destroyed our civilization," to which Krem replies, "You should have run your businesses better." Not a bad line.
That's a very good line.
Not a bad line. Archer asks if they split all the profits. No, Euless determines their shares. And Archer says, "Well, obviously, you'll be getting a bigger percentage than the rest because you're doing all the menial labor." And I'm like, holy shit, is Archer laying down some Marxism on the Ferengi?
He's trying to start a union.
You need to seize the means of production.
Do it,
Crap.
do it.
Wouldn't that be fucking crazy if there's like a rogue population of Ferengi who have discovered
Ferengi
Marx?
socialists.
Yeah.
And they call themselves archerists.
Krem says his cousin manages all his financial transactions because he doesn't have the lobes for business. And of course, Euless charges for his services because never allow family to stand in the way of profit. Archer sees Trip again and fake coughs so that Krem will bring him a glass of water. Krem smartly chains Archer back up and goes off to find a food dispenser.
All right. Good for not having a dumb villain.
Trip, still in his underwear, attempts to break open the shackles, but it doesn't
Sorry,
work.
like that you have to remind us every time just to make
Still
sure.
in his underwear. Just to be clear.
Just
still
to make
in his
sure we
underwear.
know. I love it.
So
Thank
happy
you.
about
Thank you.
this. Yeah, no, I appreciate it for sure.
Trip explains that there is nothing left in Medbay to wake anyone up with, and all the weapons lockers have been looted. We learned that there are 14 weapon bay lockers on Enterprise, and they have all been looted.
How long did it take? Like, there's only 4 Ferengi, and they did all this. I guess we don't know how long Trip was stuck in decon.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Archer
So it
tells
could have
Trip,
been hours.
Right.
Archer tells Trip he has an idea, but Trip will need help. Get the hypo spray that the aliens used. It's in the launch bay. Krem returns with a glass of water and a sandwich he's eating. "Hey, this is pretty good stuff. Maybe we should take your chef." We have a mention of chef in the episode where everyone is knocked out.
Wow.
Chef Dorothy.
Trip sneaks into the loading bay, finds the hypo spray, and uses it on T'Pol. T'Pol wakes up in the launch bay to find Trip in his underwear, looming over an unconscious T'Pol with a hypo spray in his hand.
Oh, shit.
I
She
just
is
wanna say-
understandably taken aback by this scenario.
I just want to say that Trip was smart enough to know the one person that you should wake up first.
We are fucking
Trip
waking up to
knows.
call. Mm-hmm. Trip ain't no dummy. I thought he was, but he ain't.
Yeah, he's not the brightest, but he's not.
He has a good common sense.
Yes,
I think that's
he
what it comes
knows
down
who
to,
is
isn't it?
keeping the people on the ship alive, and it is T'Pol.
T'Pol, wide-eyed, says, "Commander?" And Trip says, "You're going to be fine." And then Trip realizes the tableau he's creating looming over and says, "Just because a guy is in his underwear, you think the worst."
Okay, Trip.
I love that.
T'Pol says, "I assume you have an explanation," which he does. He was in a
Those two
bioscan.
kids.
He was in a bioscan after that lunar survey. While he was there, something knocked out the entire crew. Aliens are in control of the ship. T'Pol reasons that the object Trip brought back from the survey was some kind of trap. We hear the door open. Trip hides while T'Pol pretends to be asleep. Krem and Archer arrive to move more stuff out. Krem moves over to T'Pol. This female is different from the others. What species is she? Vulcan. Krem turns on the creepy vibes while Archer explains that Vulcans are really not that interesting once you get to know them. They have no sense of humor. They're always complaining. He's basically trying to lure Krem away from what he thinks is a sleeping T'Pol. I'd like to get to know this one. Maybe I won't sell her. Not right away. Krem moves in for the ear thing, and Archer reminds them that they have a lot of work to do. And this is a very weird shot because Trip has been watching all of this from a slot in the stacked cargo. It's extremely voyeuristic. Archer and Krem leave. Trip asks if she's okay, and T'Pol says, there are times I wish Vulcans had not learned to repress their violent tendencies.
Oh shit! Good for T'Pol!
And as she says this, as she's standing up, and there's, I don't know if this was a direction or just the choice he made, there is just a hint of a smile on her face as she says this, and she stands
love it.
up. Unfortunately,
that's my favorite side of T'Pol.
Mm-hmm.
They have to get going. They can't wake up anyone else. The hypospray is empty.
Oh.
Jump cut. Trip is getting dressed halfway through the episode. He is putting on somebody else's jumpsuit.
Wait, so does that mean was that the lie?
No, this was halfway through the episode. He is finally getting dressed.
You said.
Yeah,
because
wasn't the lie? So the lie was that he was in his underwear the whole episode?
No, the truth was that he was only in his underpants for half the episode.
He said half the episode. The statement was, Trip
half
was
the
in his
episode.
underpants half the episode.
I thought it was the whole episode. So then I thought you'd
the actual lie is that
we're being tricky.
The Enterprise keeps gold on hand to deal with less developed civilizations.
Oh.
The other Ferengi are back in Medbay, where they think the vault might be. They're looking at that MRI device that they have, the sealed off thing. They can't get it open, and finally they force it open. There's no gold in there. T'Pol is watching them on a security cam panel. Muke finds something that looks like basically like a big meat injector. It's some kind of medical device. I have no idea what this thing is. And claims that he's going to take it for his personal collection because of the excellent craftsmanship. And then the Ferengi start arguing about the profitability of the mission. We cut to Trip, who is placing what looks like an elaborate lock on a door marked biomatter resequencing. It kind of looks like if you ever go into a hotel and they have that little safe that you can put your stuff in there, it kind of looks like a space version of that. It's a big circle that he just magnetically locks onto this door. Okay. Back in another room, Ulyss asks Muke what he's found. There are these little discs there. They're just basically collecting things here. Muke has found these little discs that are apparently sensors, but he's claiming this as his personal loot. They get into this big dispute about, well, this is going to come out of your portion of the profits if you take something for yourself. Grish is scanning maps of the ship, and Ulyss says that they won't put the vault on a map, you idiot. Grish points out that, no, I've found the captain's quarters, and that's where you keep your latinum. T'Pol then activates some kind of alarm or something.
These Ferengi are true. These are they really went TNG era with these.
It's like
Ferengi.
the Three Stooges are robbing the Enterprise.
Oh my god.
T'Pol then activates some kind of alarm or something that hurts the Ferengi's ears, and they move away from where they were standing to find out where this sound is coming from. While they're doing that, T'Pol sneaks in and she takes the sensor discs that Muke was hoarding. Okay. The Ferengi blow up a panel to turn off the alarm, and when they come back, Muke finds that the sensors are missing. He accuses Ulyss of stealing them. Open your bag! Are you calling me a thief?
Oh my god.
Everyone knows you'd steal the wax out of your own mother's ears. Ulyss denies it, but then T'Pol activates the sensors, which are hidden in Ulyss's bag like an AirPod sensor.
Oh, shit.
But there were 3 of them, and he only finds 2. Now everyone's looking at Grish as the thief of the 3rd sensor.
Oh my god.
Archer and Krem
Why are these sensors so important?
Fucking knows.
They're it's just MacGuffins.
Yeah, they're just
we don't-
they're
okay.
just something for them to argue over.
Something that they thought was cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not actually that cool. They're just these circular gray things. Anyway. Archer and Krim are in engineering taking parts out of the engine. And Archer says, even if your cousin does find the vault, what makes you think he'll share it with you? He's like, we have a contract. Well, if you never see the vault, you'll never know what's in it. Oh, he wouldn't cheat me. Whatever happened to never let families stand in the way of profit? So Archer has a proposition. Help me capture them.
I'm sure
We
he
split the
does.
gold, and you fly off with your own ship, a wealthy man. You always said you dreamed of having your own ship. No more menial work. And Archer will even throw in the Vulcan female. Krim thinks it over and says, get back to work.
Wow.
Jump cut.
Archer has the Ferengi's number on this.
Yeah, he
like,
picked up
I'm
on it.
actually pretty impressed with Archer on this.
Yeah,
like,
he's figured them out immediately.
Well, he was-
immediately. Like, how did he do that fast?
Well, he was-
I would expect him to try to give a speech about peace or something for
Well-
at least half the episode before.
He was in an
gets to this
MBA
point.
cohort before he moved over to Starfleet Command. Jump cut. We are in the middle of an intense interrogation scene with the Ferengi as we discover that there is another member of the crew who is awake. Where is the vault? Do you understand me? The Ferengi are asking, using their universal translator. But this interrogation is met with limited success because they're questioning Porthos!
Yes! Oh, I'm so excited! As soon as you said they're going to the captain's quarters, I was like, does that mean we get Porthos? Is Porthos asleep?
No, Porthos is
Is he
fully
wagging
awake.
his tail?
He is woof woofing and wagging his tail like no tomorrow. He is so happy.
He's like, I'm such a good boy. You give me pets.
I'm so happy we got Porthos back. Almost makes up for the human trafficking, guys.
I can't lock into its language. It's a lower life form, you fool. It's probably the captain's next meal. Well, don't be so sure. Look at the size of its ears.
Oh, come on. That's very cute.
Okay.
Big cute ears.
Does have big ears. That's so great.
Muke decides this creature is worth some money, so he takes him. He picks him right up and takes him out of the room. Euless determines there's no vault in the captain's quarters, so they move on. Muke decides that he's had enough for one day. They should just leave. This is an upsetting scene
Oh, no.
because Muke puts Porthos in a shipping container and shuts the lid.
No.
I did not like this.
No.
And I know that as soon as they called cut, a crew member came out and opened it and took the dog out. But
There
This is
probably
not-
wasn't even a
Wait,
back. There probably
okay.
wasn't even a back to it.
This could be fine if this goes from Die Hard to John Wick. There's still time for this to turn around.
And John Wick is the one where he
this
saves
is-
the
And I'm
dog.
not explaining which one John Wick is to you again.
The one. Wait, I know now. It's the one with Keanu Reeves.
Mhm.
Wait,
And the dog.
wait.
And he-
is he
and-
a kidnapped dog?
No.
Now he's revenging the dog.
Oh, I don't like that. Maybe that's why
No,
I
it's
haven't
awful.
seen it.
In the later ones, he has a dog who is alive. Nothing happens
Yeah,
to the
and
second dog.
nothing
Okay,
happens
because
to the second
a
dog.
kidnapped dog, and then you save it, and then
As a matter of fact, at one point, he leaves his dog at a very fancy hotel, and Lance Reddick takes care of him.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
aw, I like that.
So, immediately after Muke commits this unforgivable act, he spots somebody moving in the shadows. It's Trip. Muke gets a shot off, but Trip escapes. Muke raises the alarm and gives chase into the mess where Trip pretends to be asleep, waits until Muke walks past him, knocks him over, bites his ear as he's knocking him out, and steals his pistol.
Wait, wait, sorry, Trip? What? You know, who knocked out who?
So,
Who bit
okay.
whose ear?
All right, so Trip runs into the mess hall and is pretending to be one of the knocked out crew members.
Yeah.
Muke walks in, walks past him. Trip gets up, jumps him from behind, and is in the
Okay.
process of knocking him out and bites his big old ear in the
So
middle of this
Trip
before he
bites
knocks him out.
Muke's ear.
Yes.
Okay.
crazy. The only way this could have been better is if he had still been in his underwear.
Still in his underwear.
I'm real mad he's not in his underwear.
He takes Muke's pistol and runs out. It's all for naught because Euless is there and uses his energy whip, which we have not seen since Next Generation, to knock him out.
I was gonna ask if they were, and that was sort of what, like, that's the image I have, and for some reason I thought they were, like, in loincloths, but they weren't. They were in, like, uniforms, but they had the weird...
It's not a uniform, but they're all dressed like, they look like space mercenaries, you know, the things there. But Euless does have the energy whip, which we have not seen for a very, very long time.
Or since.
Yes. We are back in loading bay. Archer enters and sees that T'Pol is gone and distracts Krem from noticing this. He tells Krem to show some initiative, start making decisions on his own. He's sowing dissent here.
Sorry, this is like 170 years or something before TNG, and they still have the Ferengi have not gotten any new technology.
Yeah, that's actually surprising considering they buy everything. And they're like capitalism 101.
I think that they just want, like, my impression is that the energy whip, they either didn't like it or it was too expensive to do for any version of the Ferengi they had. Actually, the Ferengi don't do a lot of combat. Well,
and also an energy whip, not a very useful weapon.
It's just a callback. Maybe it's just like guns. Maybe it just looks... Maybe it just looks like a whip, but it's a better grade of whip that they use in TNG. It's like guns sort of look-ish the same. Yeah,
that's true.
Or maybe the guy in TNG is just really into vintage. Maybe it's a hipster. Ferengi.
Right, it's a thing that they've had for many, many years. Like, it's the Bathleth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Of the Ferengi.
Or maybe we're overthinking this, and this is just a dumb show.
I think there's no doubt
the answer here.
Thinking it.
Euless and Muke walk in with Trip. Ferengi argue about whether to keep searching for the gold, which Euless is really fixated on. He and Muke start to argue about whether they should leave or whether they should go. Muke insists that he wants to just take his part of the profits and leave, and Euless pulls a gun on Muke and orders him to take a shuttlecraft and all the women and leave. But that's not enough for Muke. That will cut him out of his share of the profit. But Trip says, wait, he'll show them where the vault is. Archer and Trip get into a fake fight. You traitor, how dare you tell them where my gold is. Rah, 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 rah. But Trip says, I won't let them take my wife, you... He doesn't say bastard, but he's like, you don't care about anything, but I'm not going to let them take my wife. Who do you think Trip's precious wife is?
Hoshi?
It is Hoshi.
Hoshi.
It's like they say, they said the Vulcan women. He's like, I don't care about her. It's like, it's Hoshi. Trip's angry because all Archer cares about is his precious gold. You greedy son of a bitch, said Trip. And Archer says to Trip, what's your wife worth? 5 bars of gold? Maybe 6? Let them take Hoshi, and I'll even give you 10. And Trip gets fake angry about this, and Archer says, okay, 15!
Okay, so he's selling him to Trip. That's a little less.
But he still makes the offer. I didn't say he sold her. I said he offers to sell her.
Yeah.
Trip tackles Archer. It's a fake fight. The Ferengi pull them apart.
I love a fake fight.
And Euless takes Trip up on his offer.
In their fake fight, is Trip actually seems like
he's not in his underwear?
Because I know, but just because Archer loves to get beat up in like.
He does love to get beat up.
He just loves to create a situation where he's going to get beat up.
Well, that happens a lot in this episode. Euless tells everyone to stay in load bay. He'll take Trip to find the vault. Muke is having none of that because he plans to count every bar that gold himself. No, we'll count it later, says Euless, and of course, nobody likes this idea, and they plan for all the Ferengi to go down to the vault, including Krem.
Guys, I was just thinking, sorry, about like, we've joked about Archer having like some sort of fetish where he likes to be beat up, and I feel like after the previous episode, he's probably like telling Trip, like, can you be a slug? Like, I got the New thing for
Pretend you're a
slugs.
slug.
This is why they don't have the
Slug and
holodeck.
punch me in the face.
Pretend you're a slug and beat me.
I'm sorry, the way he looked at that slug the last episode when she was the pretty lady and then turned into the slug, and he still was like looking at her, that slug, like he was in love.
And then the slug turned back. That was my favorite.
I'm
Sorry.
telling you, he developed a new fetish in the last
I did.
episode.
He's like, hey, Hoshi, what happened to that slug you had?
Is Sluggo still around? Can we go
Sluggo's
back to
still
that
around?
planet?
Okay. Okay, continue.
Euless is kind of surprised that Krem is insisting to go along with them. He goes, "It's time I show a little initiative," but Euless browbeats him and Krem caves instantly. So the other
Wow.
three, Ferengi and Trip, leave. Krem tells Archer to get back to work. Archer feigns that he has some back pain. It's an old water polo injury.
Oh my god.
Krem does not ask what the fuck is water polo. But they're running
He's
out
like,
of
I don't know, but I don't care.
But they're running out of time, so Krem chains Archer back up. I guess the Ferengi have OSHA. If you had a guy that were using as slave labor at gunpoint, wouldn't you just say, "I don't care if your back is hurt, just continue carrying this stuff"? But he doesn't do that. He chains them up. So we see Krem loading up stuff into the Ferengi ship, and we hear T'Pol's voice. "Have you come to rescue me?" She saunters up to Krem and explains that she's awake because the drug affected her differently from the humans, who are a terrible race. Deceitful. Cruel. She's their captive. They've enslaved her. Please, take me with you. Krem falls for it.
All right, T'Pol.
"You would make a handsome wife." And T'Pol says, "I'm well trained in the arts of pleasure." Krem explains umox, which is the Ferengi ear sex thing. So T'Pol starts stroking his ears and Vulcan nerve pinch! He's out like a light.
Ah, my girl.
I like that Vulcan nerve pinch thing like works on every alien.
Works
Like
on
it doesn't matter what their
everybody.
It
biology
doesn't matter
is.
who you are, what
If you have
look
an
like,
ear
how
and
blue
sort
your
of a
skin
face,
is. We're gonna take you out with that pin.
She takes the key off of him, and also she goes into one of their containers that are on the ship, and she takes out an Enterprise phase pistol. So, Trip is leading the rest of the Ferengi on a merry chase, going in circles and circles through Jeffrey's tubes and corridors, and what I think might actually be a joke about how they just keep using the same sets over and over again, because even the Ferengi
like
are
a
like,
meta
"I
joke."
think we've gone past this before."
Yeah.
Finally, he opens a door that has the hotel safe thing that he planted earlier. Trip presses a few buttons and says, "Okay, it's all yours." Then says, "Well, you better let me go in first." He goes, "Why?" And Trip says, "Well, booby traps." And they say, "No, you could have a weapon hidden in there." So Trip backs off, and of course the Ferengi start fighting over who goes first, and they all end up running into the room, heads down. It's empty, except for T'Pol, who is hiding behind the door and shoots them all.
Wait, how did T'Pol get there?
It's a time jump. While Trip was leading, Trip was doing all this nonsense, they had coordinated this. I think this was
she
Archer's.
nerve pinched the guy.
Right, and then she escaped. Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
and
She nerve pinched the guy, so.
Trip has a one-liner. "Sorry, fellas, bank must be closed today." But T'Pol does not shoot Trip in an amazing display of self-restraint.
Yeah, that is an amazing display. Jesus.
T'Pol returns to Archer, who is still shackled to the wall, and reports the success.
Sorry, this is canon for me now.
Archer asks for the key. T'Pol takes it out and holds it just out of reach. And T'Pol says, "Vulcans are not that interesting. No sense of humor. Always complaining."
Oh, shit!
And Archer says, "Well, I'll leave that up to you." "How? 5 bars of gold?" T'Pol does not react to this, and then Archer orders her to unlock the shackles, which she does.
Oh my god, it's so good.
All right.
Jump cut. All the crew is woken up at this point. The Ferengi, at gunpoint, are being made to put back everything they stole. Archer does open the shipping container and rescues Porthos and does not immediately vaporize Muke.
Oh, Porthos was in there the whole time.
He was in there for like a
Poor
second.
boy.
I know.
Poor little me. Poor little
Probably
fictional dog.
whining.
Well, the dog is real. He's just
Yes, but
portraying a
it was the
fictional dog.
It was the fictional one who was in the
Exactly,
thing
yeah.
the whole time.
Archer and T'Pol are walking Krem down a hallway on the Ferengi ship. He says, I'm alerting Starfleet and the Vulcan High Command. If you come within 1 light year of our ships, you won't know what hit you. Krem says, you'll never see us again. Not until Star Trek The Next Generation, 200 years from now.
But wait, so like there was no, I kept expecting there to be like something that happened that they had to keep it a secret. Because Picard had never heard of the Ferengi. Right? I gotta go back and watch that Ferengi episode.
Don't ask me to explain this episode to you.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe. So,
God damn it,
the
I'm gonna have to
TNG
watch that
episode-
goddamn Next Generation
No,
Ferengi
do
episode.
not watch
Oh,
that
it's a
episode,
bad
Maria.
episode.
But
It's
in
just a
that
terrible episode,
I
but
can
I'm
tell
gonna
you
take one
because-
for the team, and I'm gonna watch that episode, and next week we're gonna talk about this.
I remember how bad
wait.
that episode is.
That episode, they had heard of the Ferengi. But
Oh,
the
they
humans
had.
had never met them before. So they had like
Got it.
information about them. They'd heard of them, but they specifically said that humans had not met them. They had not had a first contact, but they knew about them.
That's the number one complaint about this episode, and even Brandon Braga apologized for bringing the Ferengi in with this episode. All right, so it turns out that they are all on the bridge of the Ferengi ship, and that the other 3 are shackled to various parts of the bridge. Archer suggests that they start showing Krem a little more respect. Ulyss demands Krem release him immediately, and Krem says he might do it later, if you're nice. So Krem turns to T'Pol. Are you sure you want to stay here with the humans? With my ship and your talents, we could build a vast fortune. T'Pol turns away without a word. She and Archer leave. Ulyss offers Krem his Latinum pen. Nope. Well, name your price. Grish offers to double it. Krem sits in the captain's chair, stroking it, and Ulyss says, Krem, we're family. Muke offers to introduce him to a Bolian female, but Krem waves them all off, takes the controls, and departs from the Enterprise. End of episode.
So he did start a union.
Yeah.
It was staged a revolution on one ship. Yeah.
Jesus.
Okay, overall impressions of this episode. I'm going to start with a question. Are the Ferengi the worst part of Star Trek?
Are the Ferengi the worst part of Star Trek, or the
worst part of Star-
absolute worst part of Star Trek?
Are they a threat or a menace? Because there are parts of, and this is a thing that as I've been re-listening to the episodes, we refer to them as like Section 13 and Section, they're actually called like Division 31. That's the Black Ops CIA part of Starfleet, which I don't like. Because that makes Star Trek like every other sci-fi show out there. So that's the part
Right.
like if that just disappeared, I would not be sad. But are the Ferengi actually the worst part of Star Trek?
I mean, especially the TNG era, which is the worst era of Ferengi.
Yeah, I would actually absolutely agree with that if it were not for Deep Space Nine. I think because before I watched Deep Space Nine, I sort of hated the Ferengi, but Rom and Quark are great, interesting, nuanced characters.
All right, so
and particularly Quark, I think. But they may be the exception, not the rule.
Yeah. So my impression of the Ferengi is I am never happy to see them show up. I am never happy to think,
Yes.
oh good, it's a Ferengi focused
it's a Ferengi.
episode.
Absolutely. No, that's absolutely true.
They can add some flavor to an episode, but I'm never happy that we learn, oh good, we're going to learn more about the Ferengi this time.
Yeah.
So
That's fair.
At first, like you, I thought this was going to be Trip does Die Hard in his underwear, but that goes away pretty quickly. The sexual trafficking aspect was gross, and putting Porthos in a shipping container made me actively angry. Next segment, Porthos Good Boy Scale. How good of a boy was Porthos on this episode? He was a very good boy, although he was wagging his tail at the two aliens who had subdued the entire ship.
It sort of takes.
He was doing his thing to try to win them over.
He was being a spy. He was being a spy. He knew. He knew.
I did just look up. I got curious about the dogs that played Porthos. There were 3 of them, and their names were Prada, Breezy, and Windy.
Oh.
Brandon Braga, apparently his nephew had a dog named Porthos that the Porthos on the show was named after.
Cute.
All right.
That's very cute.
Our next breakdown, Saucy Scale. How sexy was this episode on the scale from Tasha Yar's outfit from when she seduced Data to the leader of the Space Irish on Up the Long Ladder?
Wait, did you do that in the wrong order again? Guys,
We
I
do
don't
that in the wrong order.
I
We do
started-
a random order every time.
Again, these are open to
a scale
interpretations.
from 1 to 10 always is worst to best. You don't do best to worst ever.
This is how we're doing it.
I'm breaking all the rules.
This is the world we live in, Jamie.
I just actually wanted to end that sentence with the leader of the Space Irish from Up the Long Ladder as just an image to punch you right in the head with.
The T'Pol rape episode was -10. So how much negative is this compared to that?
This episode was incredibly rapey, especially with ear stuff. But there's a big pile of women, which is distressing as soon as you've seen
literal
it.
pile of women.
The Ferengi are always awful, but having them be like human traffickers and rapists is, they were always awful, yes.
No,
but I feel like it's never been quite that explicitly
Yeah.
terrible.
And then T'Pol has to seduce a butt-headed alien with bad teeth. Also, we establish that slavery and sex trafficking does exist. Next segment. Yes, chef. Any mentions of chef? They do mention kidnapping the chef because the sandwich that he pulls out of the mess
Any food
is
in this
very good.
episode at all?
There is. Well, yes, there is. There's the sandwich that he pulls, and then as the Ferengi are going through the mess hall, they are pulling food out, and they dislike some stuff, but I believe they think the pecan pie smells good.
Oh, pecan pie called
Pecan
that.
pie again. Yeah, nice.
Technical difficulties, the most technobabble thing from this episode. There's no real technobabble here except for things like gold pressed latinum. They don't explain how to your point, they don't explain how the thing knocked everybody out, because it does seem to be gas-based because there's gas coming out of it. But it literally knocked everybody on the ship out except for...
I just feel like there should
within
be...
seconds.
There should
It's
be
weird.
something on the ship where it detects, or they can be like, there should be something that detects that something's wrong and like shuts off parts of the ship so that it just doesn't go through the entire ship.
This apparently all happened instantly because this is
Right,
actually
that's the
that
weird
doesn't
thing
make
to
any
me, is that it
I
all
wasn't-
happened so fast.
Yeah, I wasn't, and this is the next thing. I wasn't sure if this is a technical difficulty or a what the flocks thing, but so we see all these crew members like just laying around as if they have fallen down from standing up. The way some of these crew members are laying against the bulkhead, they should have concussions or snapped necks. They are. Like, literally, they're just laying there with, like, doing, like, a
passing
really...
out is really dangerous.
Yeah.
You can get very hurt.
I'll know that William Riker is binge-watching this show on the holodeck. And I'm sure that Deanna walked in at exactly the moment where Trip, in his underwear, is looming over Hoshi with a hypostring.
Oh my god, so good.
And this is the part of the show where we talk about what he could be enjoying instead. Maria, what is your recommendation for the week?
So my recommendation is a Netflix movie called Queen Pins, which has an incredible cast. So it stars Kristen Bell, but it also has Joel McHale. It has Jack McBrayer, it has Stephen Root, and then there's a bunch of like cameos. It's one of those that says inspired by a true story. It's the story of this woman, sort of suburban woman, who is a coupon clipper and finds ways to illegally benefit from coupons and what happens in that story. It's a really funny little movie. I think you guys will enjoy it. Queen pins.
As I've learned on Lower Decks last week, that is a capital crime in Ferengi culture, is cheating on discounts will get you executed publicly.
Oh, and it also has the stars. I can't remember her name now. I hate that. The woman who played Death on Sandman and was also in The Good Place.
Oh,
in fact,
I know who exactly. Yep.
In fact, there are many people from The Good Place in this movie. It's great.
Excellent. Jamie, what is your recommendation for the week?
My recommendation is the cast recording for the play Stereophonic. The playwright is David Ajmi, and it takes place over the course of the year in a recording studio where there's like a fictional rock band from the 70s recording an album over the course of a year and all the interpersonal drama. It's very heavily based on Fleetwood Mac's recording of Rumors. But even though it's a play, not a musical, there's a lot of music in it. And Will Butler from Arcade Fire wrote the music for the play. So the songs are supposed to be Fleetwood Mac style, but he did it in such a way where it doesn't sound dated. Like, it has enough modern elements to not sound dated. Mm-hmm. So you actually really don't need to see the play or watch the play or know anything about it to just enjoy the album. I started listening to the album when it first came out last like May or June. And then I just went to New York and got to see the play and then have been getting back into the album. It was interesting because in the play, you almost never see a full song. You only see like tiny little snippets, but he wrote full songs for every song. Even if in the play you're only hearing a tiny bit of it, he wrote full songs for all of it. So the album is great. Again, you don't need to know anything about the play or see the play to just enjoy the music from it. It's called Stereophonic.
Cool.
All right. My recommendation, I am officially the last person in America to finally get into Only Murders in the Building.
Finally, Bill.
I know, Bill, welcome to the thing. I feel like that might have been a recommendation of mine a long time ago. But
almost certainly.
Yeah. It's the perfect fucking show, and the current season is truly perfection. It's such a good show.
Watched the first 2 seasons. For those of you who are emerging from your cocaine cave and don't know, it is a comedy mystery show starring Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. They are 3 true crime podcast addicts, and they're facing personal difficulties. Murder happens in their building, and they decide to solve it. And what I really love about this show is that the show doesn't fucking care about reality at all. If these 3 people need to break into someone's apartment to pull clues out, the police are never going to find about this. I was like, well, this is obviously the police are going to be. Nope, this is never going to come up. We're moving.
There will be no consequences.
We're
there
going.
Are no consequences to their actions.
There are secret passages. Shut up. We're moving. We're going through this.
I love it. It's so good.
It is the comedy embodiment of get in the car, loser. We're gonna solve a murder. It is.
Billy, you said you've seen 2 seasons so far?
I've seen the first 2 seasons. I've started watching the 3rd season, but because
so you haven't seen Meryl Streep yet.
I have seen the first episode of the 3rd season. But because that episode is filled with broad parodies of theater culture, it's kind of painful for me to watch. So
it's a tough.
Is it cringe?
But they're on season 4 now, right?
Yeah, they're moving on to season.
Yeah, season 4 is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen the new season yet.
It keeps getting better. It's so good, guys. It's so fucking good.
Excellent.
We were actually going to start watching that tonight. So the new season.
Oh yeah, enjoy. It's really fun.
Yeah, a rare triple recommendation.
And that's the episode. Thanks for listening. Next episode, Jamie will be watching Oasis, which is really timely because Oasis just reunited.
It's definitely about them, right?
They find that Oasis has been locked in a transporter buffer pattern like Scotty.
For 400 years.
400
Oh
years.
my God.
Oh, that's great. Oh my god.
Special thanks to K.O. Myers at Particulate Media for sound assistance, and to our friend David for our beautiful cover art. Special thanks to John Stephen King for being the voice of our computer. If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on your podcast app of choice, and tell your friends about it because we really appreciate it and helps to spread the word. You can follow us on Instagram at Enterprise Splaining and on Blue Sky at Enterprise Splain. You can also email us any comments, questions, such as, how many bars of Latinum is Porthos worth, to enterprisesplaining@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And if you want to support this podcast, you can find us on Buy Me a Coffee as Enterprise Splaining. We will see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Computer and program.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.